Hello, my name is Stephen Marsden. I'm the Executive Chairman of Keyholder Funding Limited. We're based in Liverpool. Our office is in the Royal Liver building. Welcome to our presentation. This presentation is designed to inform on the cutting-edge transformational projects that are being funded through Keyholder. Please note, this is not an invitation to invest. Keyholder offers investment opportunities in late-stage transitional cancer developments. We call this the Cancer Breakthrough Portfolio. This portfolio gives investors access to carefully selected companies that are at a late stage of their product development and now require funding for final trials, large-scale manufacture, and commercialization. But much more than this, it enables investors to participate in game-changing developments that will save lives and radically change the way in which cancer is treated. The first thing that Keyholder brings to the table is a far-reaching and meticulous selection process. The companies that we choose to invest in are subjected to an intensive scrutiny by our preferred analyst companies. We have used Sibelius, based in the USA, and more recently, we used Longacre, based in the UK. To arrive at our short list of 3 or 4, well over 60 companies from around the world have been interrogated. The shortlist is further scrutinized by our own in-house selection committee, headed by Dr. Anna Obolensky, who is a very high-profile pharmacist and advises the Swiss and the French governments. Our investment model provides protection to our investors based on the asset value of the IP and the patents of the company. To establish this value, we use Valuation Consulting, the leading pharmaceutical valuation company based in London. We produce an information memorandum for each selected product based on all the claims, the statements, and the data from the company, and the analysts and all this data are verified from source by Brabners. The law firm is based in north of England. Finally, we establish a secure and ring-fenced special purpose company to hold the assets to secure our investors, who buy preference shares in the SPV. This SPV is subjected to external audit. Keyholder has a strict list of criteria on which to base the selection of a new product. Each selected project must meet every one of these criteria. Firstly, the treatment or the procedure must meet an unmet need, where there is no similar alternative. We're looking for short term to exit, ideally 18 to 24 months. The product has to be disruptive and unlike anything else in the market. The valuation must be strong and realistic. We need to see it in line with similar stage recent sales or IPOs. We must have proof that it does what is claimed and that the data must be conclusive. The patents must be long, 20 years, global, kept up to date, and easily defendable. The management team must be experienced and capable of delivering the final exit. And I have to say that this is the reason why many projects that are good just are not selected by us. And finally, all these criteria are double-checked by our own selection committee and verified. The pharmaceutical investment market ranges from very early to very late stage development of the products. In the early stage, there is little or no proof that the product is effective or safe. People say to me, that there is a chance of successful commercialization of less than 1 in 1,000 at this stage. And you know, they're right. Funding here is largely from universities, governments, charities, friends, business angels, and at this stage, asset value is very low. Then there is the mid-stage. The blue line shows the asset value that is rising as data supports the claims made by the developers. At this stage, with increasing levels of proof, cherry-picking the right projects can lead to serious inflection in value with very much reduced risk. The commercial stage is where big pharma are interested because investment at this stage is a balance sheet item rather than profit and loss expenditure. So Keyholder sits in this transition space between late stage and commercialization, where assets have proven worth and command a demonstrable value, and where exit is short to medium term. The first product that I'm really excited to tell you about comes from the highly renowned CRO Cato Research, based in Raleigh, North Carolina. Cato have an excellent record of bringing products to the market, and in over 30 years have never lost investors' money. The product is one of the cutting-edge new wave of immune therapies. It is a polyclonal antibody stimulator. This creates an immune response in the patient, but unlike many other immune therapies, it does not target cancer cells directly, with all the accompanying dangers of potential adverse reactions. But what it does is it neutralizes a hormone called gastrin-17 that is used by many cancers as an agent of growth and proliferation. A cancer cell is a mutant cell that finds an independent way of growing and multiplying, which is separate from the host body. In the colorectal tract or the lungs or the pancreas, this is often done by using gastrin-17. Gastrin-17 is a residual hormone from the prenatal state, and removal does not cause harm to the patient, but for the cancer, it is catastrophic. It arrests the growth of tumours. It causes the cancer cells to become less stable and more susceptible to other treatments. A daily injection of the Vaxicure polyclonal antibody stimulator turns a fatal condition into a chronic and manageable condition, rather like diabetes. This is game-changing. Vaxicure have already completed phase 3 FDA trials using small batches of the polyclonal antibody stimulator, or the PAS. And now they require funding for the large-scale manufacture of the product. They plan some limited repeated phase 3 trials to show that the large-scale product behaves in the same way as the small-scale version. Furthermore, trials are now planned for using the Vaxicure PAS in combination with immune therapy products in an exciting additional development. Cato are now in talks with Merck about a combination study with their checkpoint inhibitors, the most well-known being Keytruda. This is a significant step towards our potential exit. The second product I want to talk about is Diatec. This comes from a company in Nashville, Tennessee called Avrien. The original technology was developed by Vanderbilt University. Now, Diatec have two diagnostic platforms, ChemoIntel and ImmunoIntel, and both are advanced and unique in the industry. Amazingly, the choice of treatment for cancer is still based on what we call standard of care, which is statistics based on historical outcomes, but it pays no respect to the characteristics of the individual cancer cells. Chemotherapy is still prescribed for around 90% of all cancer patients. Yet, how many times do you hear those awful words, the patient has not responded to chemo. Why is this? Why are patients given long, damaging, and expensive treatment that does not work? Well, the answer is that it does work, but not for all patients. There are 30 to 40 regularly prescribed chemotherapies, and often that's in combination, so the choice is very large, and they have differing effects on different patients depending on the makeup of the cancer cell, which can differ significantly from patient to patient. Thankfully, with Diatec, these days are now over. Diatec has perfected a process of detecting the onset of apoptosis, which is gradual cell death, from a small biopsy in just 48 hours. No one else can do this. A printout of all treatments in order of best to worst outcome is then sent to the oncologist within 72 hours, so that prescribing the treatment is no longer hit and miss. The clinical results of treating patients with ovarian cancer using chemo that is known to have best outcome instead of using standard of care selection is compelling. The graph shows survival of over 2,000 patients. The red line shows that patients where standard of care selection of chemo is used have a survival rate of around 25% by month 34. In contrast, using chemotherapy that is known in advance to work shows survival rate of over the same period around 90%. This data says it all. So Diatec comprises of two platforms, ChemoIntel and ImmunoIntel. ImmunoIntel measures the immune response within the microenvironment of the tumour. Again, it informs of the most effective treatments and advises where immunotherapy can even be dangerous to the individual patient. Cancer cells have over 100 metabolic pathways or receptors, and from individual to individual, different ones are used for the growth and survival of the cancer cell, and others are not. Part of the ImmunoIntel technology is to identify which of these pathways are being used, and then which appropriate drug or therapy can be used to target these pathways. Diatec is about to start clinical trials to make the process of selection mandatory with health services and insurers. These trials will be to show that knowing which treatment will work for an individual patient produces a better outcome than statistics-based selection. Diatec now also requires funding to provide pre-trial screening to 3 of the top pharma companies for trials of their immunotherapies. Having both ChemoIntel and ImmunoIntel on the one platform makes Diatec a very important company. It is well known in the industry, and we expect the exit sometime in 2021. These investments are illiquid, and returns come at the exit or the liquidity event. But there is a considerable liquidity premium, and we target 5 to 8 times the amount invested as a return. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation. If you have any inquiries, do not hesitate to contact us. Our details are on the Keyholder website, or speak to your financial advisor.